Okay, good morning, everybody. Let's start. My name is Ivan Borisov. I am a program associate with American Councils for International Education. I would like to welcome you to this first webinar of our virtual program of the Educational Technology Accelerator at American Councils Innovation. Today with me, I have Andrew Tsentsiruk, who is a CEO of Global Trade Strategies, and he's also a managing partner at Innovisa, a company that works with big data. He's also a resident of 1776 Startup Incubator, and he has vast startup experience and also experience working with international startups. Not with us today, but most likely joining us next time is Adrian Erlinger, who is a program manager for the innovation capacity building and who will be working with us too. So this is our team. I would like to start with an introduction of the program and introduction of resources that are available to you. So first of the program, like we said in our email, we have two parts. First of all, we're going to have the virtual program, which will consist of a series of webinars, the first of which we have today. We will invite experts in particular fields to talk about, sales in education or intellectual property issues in education. Other webinars will be conducted by Andrew. We will have also office hours. In case you need to talk to us about a specific issue, or you have a question, or you would like to ask us about, market research, for example, or a specific question, please feel free to join us during our office hours. We do have a sign-up system for them, so you can choose a time when you would like to do office hours and just talk one-on-one with us, with Andrew and myself. After the virtual program is over, and we expect it to last until April next year, we are going to choose 5 to 6 startups for a visit to the United States. During this visit, you will have meetings with experts, with corporate partners. You will take part in conferences, meetings with VCs, and potential partners. Also, I'd like to talk about the resources that are available to you during this program. First of all, you all probably noticed that I added you to our Skype chat. So if you need to introduce yourself, if you have a question that you would like to address to the whole group, if there is some organizational issue that I need to communicate to all of you, I will use Skype chat to do that. And I encourage you all to use the Skype chat as well. Also, I sent you the link to our Trello board. This is a tool that we find is very convenient, intuitive, and easy to use to manage projects. So again, we encourage you to use it as well. There, you can introduce your startups. Each of you has a card for your startup, so please feel free to upload any materials that are about your startup, or post a link to your website or your PPT presentation, whatever you feel is necessary. Also on that board, we have a description of our webinars, and we will post the links to those webinars, and we will post links to the video of those webinars afterwards. Again, if you have a question following the webinar, if you need to have some kind of follow-up, feel free to post your question in this board. Also, there you have a card with links for office hour sign-up. You will follow it to a special, what is the name of this sign-up system? I keep forgetting.
Calendar.
I think. Anyway, so there is a link that you can use to choose office hours, my office hours or Andrew's office hours, and then sign up for a specific time so we know that at this time we have an online meeting with you. So this is what we have for you in store. I hope that this program is going to be interesting to you, that it's going to be useful to you. This is it so far. Let's see if you have any questions about the programs, let's have a short Q&A session so that everybody is on the same page, everybody knows what's going on. I'm going to I'm going to make sure you can unmute yourself, and if you have a question, please feel free to use your microphone or chat, use the chat box for it. So, okay, now you can.
Hey everyone, can you hear me? Hello?
If you have any questions, feel free to.
Can you hear me now? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So guys, my name is Vova. I'm from PanXY. I'm CEO of the company. My question is the following. So what is the reasoning behind building the profile of my company in Trello? Like just for like communicating between other startups, or will the profile will be visible for anyone else?
Okay, so this board on Trello is only visible to our cohort, to us and to other companies and cohorts. The reasoning to have this introduction is basically networking for you. So you understand who else is in the cohort, who else you might work with, and what kind of connections you might form during this program. Again, this is something for us to learn more about yourself probably, because what we know so far is what you wrote in your application. And sometimes, we just feel that you might want to add something else, a document, a PPT, or maybe, something changed in your company. You received an investment, which we need to know, because then it means that your company is on the right track. And this is why we have this way to introduce yourself and to show us a little bit more about yourself. Again, this is completely voluntary if you feel you need to do this.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I have another question if no one is minding.
Yes.
So about office hours. So for example, I have a need for market research with some specific details. So is this something to discuss? How can I do that? Or is this something when we can discuss how can you help me to connect with specific experts to do that? So like what could be my expectations after we schedule that office hours call?
Well, it depends on what kind of market research you need, because we here can do in-house market research, and again, it depends on how detailed you need it done. If it is something quick and easy, I can do that for you. If it is something that you feel you would like to have more detailed, and you would like to be connected with an expert who can do that, we will be happy to help you. Again, that's a way for us to talk, and to communicate, see what are your needs, what specific questions you have, and then see if we can answer them. We are not, claiming to be, all-knowing people. Sometimes we'll just say, I don't know, but let me see if I can find somebody who can answer your question.
I see. Thank you so much.
Sure. Okay, so I have one more question in the chat from Vlad Vilashuk. What does the evaluation process look like to get selected for the trip to US? Okay, so what are our criteria for the companies that are coming to the United States? Well, several things. First of all, we need to see how active you are, because, this defines your success eventually. If, it is a company that, sometimes works with us, then disappears for a few months, then, shows up again, then, well, this is probably not a company that we would like to work with. So this is one. Two, it depends on, again, this is a way for us to learn more about you and see if we can help you, because we are glad to help everybody. The problem is that sometimes the company is either at a very low level in its development, just starting, and we understand that, for example, a trip to US is not going to do a lot of good yet. Maybe in a year, in 6 months, this will be valuable, not right now. Sometimes, a company is already at such a high level that we understand that, probably you should be using other resources, not us. Again, it is just, a way for us to see if there is a fit between the company and our abilities to help the company. And if the company is active enough and interested enough to work in this market. So I'd say these are the main criteria for the selection of the companies. Okay.
All right.
Any other? Okay. So do we have any other questions? Because if not, we can continue with Andrew's presentation. And then again, if you come up with more questions in the end, feel free to use the chat or just ask your questions using your microphone. So for now, I'm going to mute everybody again and only unmute Andrew, so that he can give his presentation.
Thank you, Ivan. Hello, everyone. My name is Andrew Tsintsiruk. I'm a managing partner at Innovizo. We are a data analytics and software development consulting company. Today, I'm going to talk about Edtech market overview, and I also serve as an advisor to startups that are based in the DC market in Washington DC area, and also startups from Eastern Europe. So let's get started with the presentation. We have lots of topics to cover today. Today I will be talking about most important EdTech trends, and we will focus on which market segments present opportunities for growth, and we'll also review key players in the industry and investors. And lastly, we will also go over some distribution and sales strategies for education technology companies. And at the end of the webinar, we will have a Q&A session. That's when Ivan will unmute the mics and hope we can have a good discussion. So let's get started. So what is US market EdTech market size? And on this graph, we see that EdTech market is growing, and the global market is currently $5 trillion, which is 8 times larger than the size of the software market, and 3 times larger than the media and entertainment industry. And yet the education market is only 2% digitized, and it is projected to grow at 17% annually to $252 billion by 2020. And US education technology market is estimated at 25%. And if you look at most of the activities for investment deals has been steadily growing starting 2013, 2014, and the latest data for 2015 even is larger. So what are some of the drivers that stimulate growth in the EdTech market? First, it's wireless infrastructure improvements and enterprise mobility that lead to new digital learning environments. It's also proliferation of affordable mobile devices and tablets. It's advancements in computer processing power and data storage, data analytics that have enabled lots of new opportunities. And another factor is that's contributing to exponential rise is digital content, which is being created and shared, and that allows for new learning platforms. Technology and innovation are at the core of understanding these trends and how they shape the education that is changing. So let's take a look at the advancements in wireless infrastructure. So the wireless infrastructure improvements have served as a catalyzer for innovation. They provide tools and infrastructures that enables new products and new services being introduced in the market. And for example, in 2015, 2016, in the US K-12 education market, spending increased 5 times for hardware and connectivity budgets for public schools. And internet-connected technology services are becoming part of life at the schools. And there are some predictions that a future student will have 5+ Wi-Fi connected devices, such as laptop or tablet or even drones for single assignments in the future. And this requires significant investments for the bandwidth and for the Wi-Fi access points. Another trend that we see is the use of virtual reality technologies, VR and augmented reality devices that enable visualizing complex and inaccessible objects, such as from the interior of the molecules to ancient archaeological sites. And one company that has been contributing to this, offering very cost-effective tools, Google Cardboard, that has now enabled students in schools have access to VR tools at a very affordable solution. So let's look at some of the US tech market segments and how they are evolving. If you look at this graph, adult continuing education and online higher education and platform for LMS, they have been exponentially growing in the last 5 years, was offering new methodologies for how students are taught. And we will go over each of those during the presentation. So, for example, the use of mobile devices and wearables. Mobile apps services offer capabilities to deliver the right personalized content based on the person's location, time, preferences, and roles. And mobile and wearables usage in classrooms also gives an opportunity for more data capture. And now companies, education technology companies, can collect more data on student behaviors, on student performance, and these devices they're growing in number and variety, and they're shrinking in size and costs, and they're becoming more affordable. And many schools, starting from K-12 public education to higher educational institutions, are introducing mobile devices and wearables for pedagogical use. And this in turn leads to new learning models. And in the last 2 years, new technology empowered educators with tools and methodologies to experiment with new educational models, such as blended learning, personalized and competency-based learning, project-based learning, and adaptive and student-driven learning. Another trend that we are observing in the US that's becoming quite popular and common is the use of interactive video and media applications. In the past, video in the classroom, and to a certain extent in some schools, is still largely one-way medium, where a group with knowledge faculty makes a video or even worse, they record, they capture a lecture, and then they replay it online. But now the modern tools of 21st century, new generation of students, they have fluency in basic applications such as Skype, FaceTime, Snapchat, and they're communicating with video and other forms of media at the level that goes far beyond the basic concept of video, which is interactive, it's engaging, it's two-way. And so we see those tools are gradually being brought to classrooms. We see now that edtech startups that are coming up with innovative solutions, video solutions that are offering interactive, engaging, and two-way classroom experience. The challenge that this poses to the market, that this variety of different tools, how do we integrate these tools in existing LMS systems? And I've seen several edtech startups in Silicon Valley and here in DC area that are creating solutions that can allow video and media applications to be integrated with larger LMS systems. And the prediction is that LMS that offer integrated infrastructure to video and media will survive the competition, because this market is maturing and there are some changes taking place in the market. Another trend that we see is competency-based education. We live in a world where there's evolving demand for new skills that are necessary to compete in the 21st knowledge-based economy, and there are alternative learning models such as boot camps or workshops offering on-demand education to the traditional students who are seeking to get critical education. And in many cases, it's IT education, it's skills that make a job seeker more competitive. And here I put some numbers that information technology jobs will increase by 12% between 2014 to 2024. That's according to Bureau of Labor Statistics. There are 500,000 jobs that will be created during that period, and annually there are only 40,000 students that graduate annually with a bachelor's in computer science. So it just shows that there's that the competition for these jobs will be much higher, and there will be shortage of supply of graduates in computer science. This is for US market, by the way. This is not global. This is for so there is a new types of schools that are being created, like General Assembly or boot camps that teach how to code. And the way IT education and computer science education is taught at public schools, it's still evolving, because there is a shortage of computer science teachers in the United States, and we see some companies now that are supporting this. That, for example, there is a new trend now that public-private partnerships for computer science training. We see companies like Google and Microsoft that are teaming up with nonprofits and corporations to to offer computer science resources to students and teachers. And I'm talking about K-12 public education market. And for example, in 2015, Microsoft has expanded its after-school program to over 700 schools for computer science training. There's an organization called Code.org, which operates in, has partnerships with 100 districts, including some of the largest cities in New York, Los Angeles, Miami, and Houston. And they offer computer science training to high school children, high school students. Another company, Salesforce, invested $6 million and 10,000 of their volunteers' hours in pilot programs within San Francisco schools for 2015-2016 school year. So the proliferation of these public-private partnerships, it gives some opportunities for startups also that want to focus on this market segment, train IT schools. And the bigger players in the market are open to work with early stages companies that are developing products and services in this area. Another trend that we see that's growing, and that's probably one of my favorite ones as someone who is focusing on data analytics and data science, we see that there's a huge opportunity for using data science expertise in higher education and in K-12 education. Educational institutions have increasingly more and more available data generated from new learning approaches, and this data can be used through machine learning expertise and can be used to analyze student behaviors, and we can identify appropriate instructional methodologies to predict and reach best learning outcomes. And the student-centered models are emerging where educators focus on student performance when they collect data on how students, what they are doing, how they perform during classes, how they make decisions, and how they best master educational assignments. And by analyzing these amounts of data about students, we can learn about high-performance student habits. We can also help teachers better understand which concepts made students struggle or stumble. It can provide insights to education technology companies to develop more useful and relevant products. And so the rise of big data will be, I believe, is going to be a disruptive force in the ways teaching and learning evolves. Next slide, we are going to look at data-driven solutions in education. Many universities experiment with innovative pedagogical approaches which are data-informed and data-driven, focusing on outcomes. And here I would like to stress that just doing data analytics, when we talk about data science and applying data analytics to any market segment, it starts with strategy. What type of insight we want to get from that data and what business objectives we want to achieve. Because there are some, we can do data analytics for the sake of data analytics, but without understanding the business objective and understanding what data insights we can get from certain type of data sets, whether it is student performance data sets or student enrollment or student engagement data. If we start with smart questions, how these insights can improve our processes, and the insights that we get from the data, who we should present these insights with, key decision makers, and that can be translated into actionable intelligence. That's very important part of the process, that key insights from the data are presented to key decision makers, and then people act on that data, on those insights. So because according to 2016 EdSurge report, 61% of teachers agreed that while they had plenty of data, they needed help translating those data into actionable insights and instructional roadmaps. So another challenge is that not all solutions for collecting data integrate well with each other. there are different platforms, different tools now that are emerging in this market segment that they do not communicate well with each other, and there's a room for innovation and for new solutions that can integrate different data sources, can apply machine learning, and can use this holistic data analytics solution. So how do organizations develop a successful data strategy? And as I mentioned earlier, it starts with asking smart questions. What counts as data? How do you collect it? And what types of data can best offer insights into whether students are learning in the classroom? And many tools offer new forms of data, and figure out which ones are most appropriate to educators' need can be a challenging task. And there are companies that are moving forward in this area, such as Blackboard Analytics, Panorama Education, Civitas, Halo Campus. Blackboard is based here in Washington, D.C., and during the program, we will have some meetings with experts, and we are currently in discussions with Blackboard to set up to have subject matter experts talk to and advise our startups. There are also some opportunities in applying machine learning to student learning processes, and we see there's lots of innovations taking place in this area, where these tools offer educators data insights to make better decisions. However, there are some issues that can be caused with student data. And one of those is the student data privacy issues. And that's something that all startups and education technology companies that they work with student data, they have to be cognizant of. There are the increasing concerns about the potential misuse of student data. We live in an age where there are hacks and leaks of data that should be preserved, should be kept as private. So in 2014, privacy advocates lobbied state legislators to regulate how the Edtech companies collect data and how they store it, and who can have access to that data. And because even the early stages companies, Edtech startups, sometimes are deemed as bad guys for using student data and benefiting from using private data that cannot be shared for commercial purposes. One state that has been introducing new regulations is a California state that they have a new legislation that ruled that student data cannot be used for commercial purposes and set forth clear boundaries on the privacy standards. And many other states, including some here on the East Coast, they place the burden on the vendor to follow the law, not the school or the teacher or the districts. So let's look at the investment trends for education technology market. In global edtech, during the past 5 years, the US there were millions of dollars that were invested in the sector. And if you look at the significant growth was in 2015, almost like a double. And these are the sectors that received significant investments in recent years. You can see that from K-12 higher education and adult learning, and also professional courses. If you look at edtech investments by country, United States is leading the way, 67%. However, due to increased investment in edtech deals in China, the US share of the global deals to edtech startups declined in over 80% in 2011 to 60% in 2015. And if you look on the next slide, it's actually quite visible that China edtech funding has significantly increased in the last 2 years. In 2013, it was 80 billion, and now it's 10 times more. And it has to do also with the rising population, rising middle class in China. And Chinese education technology market is quite big for not for any edtech player to ignore. And then if you look by funding by deals, you also see that Chinese market is 20%. And the US is 68%. So these are two largest countries in the world with where the most edtech financing investments took place in the last 5 years. So who are the investors in edtech market? So here's a list of most active education technology investors, and some of them that are focusing on K-12 education market. Some of them are focusing on continuing education. GSV Capital is quite active. 500 startups has invested in several education technology companies, including international startups. New Markets Venture Partners is also active. We are currently having conversations with some of these VC firms, and as part of the program, we will have a representative from VC firm give a webinar later in the program, talking in greater detail what are the best practices for reaching out to VCs and how to present your innovation, and what are the criteria that venture firms have for investing. So what are the investors expecting? So in most of the cases, edtech companies require more time to build and sell than typical consumer startups. It's a challenging task for edtech startups to demonstrate the effectiveness of their product to potential buyers, and also with barriers to entry, we see that there's a consolidation of large players, market fragmentation. It creates several barriers and for startups, and it's as a result, it's common that before becoming profitable business, edtech startups turn to foundations, to mission-driven organizations, and or to high net worth individuals for early funding and for grants and for financial support. And it's not a secret that many startups fail and investors lose money. And here there's some list of risks, general risks, and edtech specific risks that from CB Insights and EdSearch that analyze why startups across industries fail. So one of the questions is, does the product solve a problem in the market? And if a product is overly complex and does not easily integrate in the classroom or school routines, there's not going to be product market fit. And most likely startup will run out of cash and will not have revenue, and it will fail. And so what are the important edtech performance indicators that investors are looking for when they review education technology startups? So some VC firms are looking for companies that are able to drive a quantifiable improvement in student achievement, and that can show measurable results in improving learning. It may not mean necessarily high revenue growth at early stages, but if VC firms, when they see the strong team, mission-driven team, they will deprioritize time to profitability. But they expect still to have growing product users, and just wanted to point out, it's not registered users or website visitors. I review presentations from startups every other week. I have some startups from Europe and also here from the US send me the presentations, and sometimes they list their deliverables. They say we have 500 registered users, or we have 300 website visitors, and that's not really a key performance indicator. What investors really look at is the active product users and paying customers. So they favor revenue and revenue growth. And on the next, I'm going to talk about edtech sales and distribution models. So companies selling edtech products typically use the following sales strategies. They have a free basic version of the product, and then a paid premium features. And usually the free version is for teachers and paid premium for institutions. So that model is that it's still they have a monetization strategy, that it's not a completely free product. They offer it as a free for teachers first. And the another model is called frequently referred to as freemium institutional model. It's where a startup will build a user base of teachers who use your product and then offer premium features, additional features like access to data to institutions. Another model is to sell to school or university administrators directly, and also sell to other edtech companies and taking cut of their sales to educational institutions. And I've seen that model working well, where a small startup partners with a company like Blackboard or bigger company, and a larger company will integrate their solution in their supply chain, and then they will share revenue, and they will share, and startup still makes profit and grows in that particular market segment. And lastly is direct sales of edtech products to students and parents. For education technology market, it's important to keep in mind is partnerships when partnering strategies. This partnerships is a great way for companies that have they have not existed previously. They are new to the market. They can grow by providing exploring new business models and faster adopting of the offering in the marketplace. So, when we talk about education technologies sales, the new market entrants typically have a very long and complex sales cycle. And the models that I just described, free for teachers, first, startups have to, if they offer a free product, they have to rely on the venture financing. And freemium companies offer a portion of their product for free, frequently to teachers, in hope the schools or district will pay for a full subscription. And companies that sell to administrators, this approach is to, they have to drive revenue from the moment they launch. And they often require a clear go-to-market strategy, effective sales teams working around the clock, and clearly defined product lines. And the freemium model is, you see, it's popular now, and the more VCs are supporting it. and they see that they have a revenue. Larger companies like Google, Facebook, they are also operating in the education technology market, where they offer some paid products, but also they offer free products. But they also still make money because they usually monetize them by putting ads in front of the users. So it is really a challenge for early stages companies, for startups, to come up with a product, with a free product, sufficiently useful to merit frequent use first, that you have customer acquisition. And same time, you have to reserve some premium features, additional features for later, which will merit future sales. So you can increase your offering through premium features. So what are the barriers to entry? As I mentioned, there's free products available in the market, and larger companies can offer them for free. And the education technology market is often heavily regulated by states and education agencies. There are lots of decision makers. Also, it's can be fragmented, where you have larger players, like, for example, in K-12 textbook market, where top 3 edtech companies represent 85% of the K-12 textbook market. And there is also not always there is a clear indication that there is going to be a return on investment, and there is less capital available for edtech products. Now let's look at in the defined product market fit. So when you're doing sales for your technology, and we here in our cohort, we have a diverse group of startups that apply to the program. We have startups that are really early stages, that are going through the building the MVP and going through customer discovery and customer validation. And during the office hours, we'll work closely with them to help them and to answer their questions, and have mentors and potential partners talk to them and explore potential areas of collaborations. We also have companies that are already have a product on the market, and they have paying customers. So here, this slide shows the stages of development of the company, from idea to startup. And I will not go into great detail about business model canvas. Some of you have already familiar with this, but in the context of education technology market, it is important to ask before when you're looking for your ideal target customer. It's important to ask questions and what problem are you solving for the customer, and what does your product do best? A product can have certain features, and it can address the pain that customer experiences. And when you test your product, test your hypothesis, you can also use business model canvas. It's a great tool to design, measure, build, and introduces. You can have minimal resources, and you can go through customer discovery process. This so-called bootstrapping approach, and it gets the product to customers in a fast and efficient manner. So how do we find an ideal target customer? We want to make sure that we target the right buyer, and it does not matter which market segment we focus on. It can be K-12, higher education, or specialized corporate education. We need to ask questions who is our buyer and which buyer we're selling to. And here on this slide, we see that you can have a wrong buyer, you can have a right buyer. You can waste lots of time talking to people who will not buy a product. And some of the indicators are that the wrong buyer, they have limited budget resources and they have little discretion of the budget that they oversee. And they're not an actual user of the product. And that frequently happens in education technology market, that you have administrators and distributors, or in your situation when you have an agent that will be making decision on the buying the product, but they actually never use it. So and they do not feel the pain that you are solving for in that market. So the right buyer is someone who has allocated budget resources and has discretion to use them and is a power user of your product. And then they feel the pain that you are solving, and it's much clearer for them what you offer. Because there is lots of risk involved with when you're talking to potential buyers, that sometimes they have small or non-existent budgets and they do not understand the problem that you're solving. So, and lastly, this sales, selling edtech technology requires unique sales techniques. And in early stages companies, it's best if sales are done by founders. And if a founder cannot sell, then he or she must learn or bring a co-founder with strong sales skills. And that's part of customer discovery and learning and getting customer feedback. And with that, I will turn over to Q&A. We already, it's 1 hour and 20 minutes.
Okay, thank you, Andrew. And yes, we're starting our Q&A session. Let me again unmute, or at least make sure you can unmute yourself if you have a question. 1 second. Okay, so now if you need to ask a question, you can unmute yourself and ask it. We already have 2 questions in the group chat. So let me address both of those and see if Andrew, can you see the chat?
I cannot see it on my side.
No? Okay. Well, why don't we move it a little? Okay. So basically we have 2 questions from Alex from Examus, and thank you, Alex, for those questions. The first one is, concerning media and video interactions, is Harvard experience with SPOCs, distant lecture to student interactions, still unique, or many companies use it instead of one-to-many interactions? So I will give my perspective on this, and I'm sure there are people who would disagree with this most likely. But what is a SPOC, as opposed to a usual MOOC when you have, one person talking to a group of students with usually very small interaction between them. SPOC is supposed to be a small private online course, and when one teacher has the ability to interact with a much smaller group of students. To me, to be honest, this question of SPOC is basically a question of marketing and branding that Harvard did in their cooperation with in what they created as Harvard X, because this model was used and is still used, and it has been used in American universities for a very, very long time. When, particularly at a master's level, not at a bachelor's level, but at a master's level, you have some very specialized, very, let's say, narrow targetedly courses, which are taught to a small group, a group of students, but instead of coming to class every day, all the sessions are conducted online and all the interactions are conducted through some online system, be it Moodle, Blackboard, what have you. And again, when Harvard branded this SPOC idea in, I think, 2013, It existed before. It successfully was implemented and for years in higher education, and for most professors this was just known as an online course. And again, with Harvard, it's pretty much the same as an online course in other universities. When you offer it to registered students to begin with, it's not just, any group of people who show up and say, hey, we would like to study this. It's, registered group of students who pay their tuition. And the rest is pretty much the same. There are a few differences between usual normal online courses and SPOCs. For example, when I studied in 2009, I believe, I was doing my master's degree, and I was taking an online course when I never met my professor in person, but I got my university credit. I did my homework, and my professor checked my homework every day, every week, because we had weekly sessions. I interacted with other students who were on campus, both in person and online, and we did our presentations and we did our tasks again online. So to answer your questions, I don't think this is unique. And again, to me, this is mostly a question of Harvard, creating this brand of SPOC.
Just to add to that,
yes.
Ivan, there are several offerings similar to Spark on the market, and it is up to each student to decide what his or her needs are. And there are lots of also free solutions and free offerings on the market that you can do research, and they may address your specific need.
Okay, thank you, Andrew. And
thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, listening.
I'm sorry, but I have to clarify something. I don't ask about a form of education, I understand that there is online course in Harvard or in any other university.
Sure.
But a few time ago, there was amazing video from Harvard. There was a technical solution when the lecturer, he explains something to students, to many students at the same time, and his assistants in the same time have a conversation with each of students who ask something. Is that a unique technical solution, or that's a usual thing for many platforms or something so?
Okay, thank you. I am not sure how, you have this both interaction with a teacher who is explaining something, like giving a lecture, and working simultaneously with a teaching assistant. Is that what you're saying?
Are you referring to interactive tools during video conferencing?
Something like.
Sure.
You're going to have multiple users interacting at the same time with a teacher?
Yes, but as I understood the video, there was something specialized with some educational content. It was prepared in some form and some manner, and lecturer, he was assisted by a team using not something like webinars or some video conference, but specialized solution or project or something made in Harvard.
So we see that there's lots of innovation taking place where the tools for video conferencing there are plugins now that allow to have text displayed while speakers speaks via video, and have a student interact with for example, if for software IT courses, there are new solutions now, and we even have one startup that applied to a program that offers a solution to that allows a student in video take practice IT skills for a particular software training. And I think with time there's going to be more. That market is getting mature, but there is still room for innovation. And may I ask you why what's your startup? What is your focus?
Oh, we are making a proctoring solution. We are looking after a student while he take exams. So we want to adapt this for some purposes of adaptive learning, capturing screen and analyzing video on taken while he looks educational content. That's about it. My project.
Okay. Yeah. Continue, please.
My question was concerned only with that. You said there is many schools and classrooms with one-way video. I wondered how such universities like Harvard, Stanford, and so on can use tools with one-way video. No, in the very beginning, I think.
Yes, there's not. So I will go to the slide that I had here.
Yeah.
So video in classroom is still largely used in one-way media.
Yeah.
What I mean by that in certain instructions, teachers still use. They will show an instructional video of, for example, a YouTube video, which is communication. It's not one way that meaning that like someone talks via Skype or Google Hangout one way and the other person does. These tools are available, but there is a trend that there are new solutions on the market that are now interactive and engaging, and it's a two-way classroom experience.
Okay, that's not a technical problem. I see. Okay, thank you.
No, thank you. Do you have any other questions?
Yes, we have.
Yeah, I have one more.
Yeah. Okay. So, second question from Alex. When we speak about sales to universities, is there a distrust to small startups? And how is it possible to overcome this distrust? Okay, that's a great question. Again, I can start, or if you, Andrew, want to start.
I'm sorry.
Yes, so when we speak about sales to universities, this question, when we speak about sales to universities, is there a distrust to small startups, and how is it possible to overcome this distrust? Well, I think, first of all, when you talk about, working with universities, you have basically two kinds of approach. You can go bottom up and you can go top down, right? So you can work with individual professors who usually have a lot of autonomy in what kind of resources they use during their courses, or you can go, top down and work directly with university administration who buys your solution and then offers it to teachers to use, and they use it or not, depending again on whether they like it or not, because professors are very autonomous in American universities. Is there a distrust to small startups? Well, sure. I mean, look at any American university. That is a very large business with, billions and billions, well, maybe not billions, but yes, sometimes billions of dollars that are at stake. They maybe are not going to talk to a very small company, especially a company that's not present in the United States, in international startup, let's say. How you go about it? What are the ways to overcome this problem? Work with individual teachers, build your clientele, understand what teachers need, and work on your product. And I think if you have enough teachers using your solution, if you go this bottom-up approach, eventually, when you have enough recognition, you might be able to have a conversation with the university administration, because you need to have recognition if you don't have a huge company, at least. So this is my approach. I don't know if Andrew wants to add something to this.
Sales for higher education, there are bigger players that are selling lots of solutions to US universities. For startups, it's challenging to enter that market space unless you know what problem you're solving and what is your value proposition for. And talking to faculty members, to university professors, it might be useful in the very first step to just to get, if they know that their budgets are limited. They have some budget for research. University administrators are the ones that have discretionary powers to buy a solution. But having a discussion with them on what and understanding their needs, and then asking them lots of questions how my solution would solve your problem, whether it is, for example, you're talking to an admission office and and they have a data analytics solution that they are considering different vendors, maybe partnering with a bigger vendor and being a subcontractor to them, and then entering that market space. That could be one approach. But identifying the right decision maker at the university, who is going to be that person that will buy your product, and that takes time to get to know the key players in the market.
Okay, thank you, I see.
Okay, we also have a question about Trello, just an organizational question, and to answer that, all the information we have will be posted on Trello, and you have the power to edit and update your cards, just to answer that. So going back to questions we got in our chat. So why don't you look at this?
What is the question?
The Asian markets.
Seems really attractive. It is a challenge to enter the Asian market. What is the question?
So Asian markets seem to be really attractive. Is it a challenge to enter the Asian Edtech market? Are there any successful cases of startups from Eastern Europe? Eastern Europe. Can you talk about the Asian market?
So the Asian markets, it's very having the right partner when you look into China.
Can I interrupt you guys? When you are done asking, please mute yourself because we have too much noise. This is distracting. Please, if you do not need your microphone, mute yourself. Thank you. Yes, I'm sorry. Please go ahead.
So the Asian markets, of course, it's a growing big market with a rising middle class in China. I cannot speak about the experience of Eastern European startups entering China. I have a limited knowledge of that. But when US early stages companies and technology companies looking to enter Asian markets, they start with finding a right partner that operates in that market. And there are, I'm sure there are some trade missions probably that go to those markets from your countries where you're from, and you can start with talking to, if you're targeting China, talking to a representative from Embassy of China in your country, then and they're usually, it's their job to offer services so on international trade and commerce. So they will guide you to a proper trade association or business council that can put you in contact with companies that are operating in the area that you have portfolio product that's similar to what they are developing. And then in China, it starts with going there and finding the right partner. Can be a sales representative that will sell you products, but it all depends on your budget. Like if you already at what stage you are to really explore Asian markets. And if you're developing a startup just for Asian markets, you need to have a presence there, and because it's very difficult for early stages company to do international trade and commerce.
Okay, thank you. We have a few more questions in our chat. So, what business models for monetization of VR content exist in the EdTech market right now? Can you
Because
talk
it's
on
hardware startups.
yes, VR monetization models in education technology?
So there are, I mentioned on the slide here, free for teachers. And I know some hardware startups that are in the Edtech space that are giving pilot solutions to K-12 education to schools. And they're in the process where they're getting feedback and they're refining their product. It depends at what stage you are as a company. If you there are several strategies that you can explore. You can do the free trials and have a pilot project first, and then if you see if a school is willing to buy, you can then negotiate the right price and then see if you can replicate it to other schools. And monetization is, if it's a hardware solution, it should be, I think, free trials first, and then it's not like a subscription model for software that you have, but it's in VR. It's if you're selling a hardware solution, but if you're selling a software that works with VR, then you can have a free version first, and then have some added features as a full subscription, which is going to be paid. And again, it depends who you're targeting. If you're targeting K-12 or if you're targeting higher education. But if I would be happy to talk to you offline during office hours, and I have some colleagues that are working in this area, and I could put you in contact with them.
Okay, thank you. So a few more questions. Michael Chernyshov asks us, some universities have up to 100 of their own programmers working on their LMSs. Why would those universities need to buy startups' products? Well, I can start, I guess. Why? It's a pretty simple answer, because your idea is better, because none of those 100 programmers came with the idea that you have. Again, you can look at universities, or you can even look at larger companies. You can look at Facebook, for example. You can look at Apple, who are still buying startups. Why? They still have one of the best people working on their solutions in-house, and still the best people who are paid very good money did not come up with an idea that some guy in the garage came up with. It doesn't happen all the time. It doesn't happen often, but it still happens, and well, we all know those cases. So that's the short and simple answer, because your idea is better, but it has to be a better idea. You just cannot build, one more LMS, come to university and say, hey, here is my LMS. They already have it. They most likely don't need yours, and you are right in this. But if it has one additional feature that they didn't realize they needed, and once you, pitched it to them, they thought, that would be nice to have, then, you can be bought. They can buy your idea. So that's, as much as I can say about this issue.
I think let's move to the next question.
Let's move to the next question. All right. So what else we have? It seems that presentation, it's a question from Vova. Please, if your nickname doesn't show what company you are from, could you please also put it in your question? Vova Vladimir asks us, if it seems that presentation was mostly focused on K through 12 and higher education. What about professional adult continuing education? That is a primary focus of what we do. Mm-hmm. So what about professional continuing education, Andrew?
So I think I talked about IT education and briefly about the need that there's one slide here. Professional education is also it's a growing market in the US. There is has been significant investments made in that area. One the market segment that we see that is growing is education for computer science training, and they call it competency-based education. And since there is a demand for example, for computer science IT specialists or data scientists or other technology professionals, then we see that new market players are growing, and there are startups that are coming up with new innovative solutions to addressing those needs. And they are offering blended learning. They are offering the combination of both on-demand evening classes in person in small groups and also virtual classes. One great example, a company that I would highly recommend to look at, is called General Assembly, and they have been very innovative and efficient in they have grown significantly, and they attracted high investments. They also work, so they offer on-demand IT classes for professional education, and they look at basically where the highest demand is for what skills, and then they offer those practical knowledge, such as how to become a front-end developer, how to become a data scientist, or digital marketing or e-commerce specialist. And they also work closely with industry practitioners, and all courses are taught by not by academics, but by industry practitioners. For example, here in Washington, D.C., at General Assembly office, they teach the team that teaches courses are the data scientists that are not PhD guys that are from university, but they give a very practical skills that you acquire, and then they partner with local firms, and they're at the end of the course, they guarantee 95% that you will be hired. And that's the sort of selling proposition, that they say that you take this 12-week course, and then we have local companies. At the end of the course, you have your demo day, and then you give your presentation, and then local companies will interview you, and the rate of hiring at those events is pretty high. And we see these courses are becoming more and more popular.
Okay, thank you. Again, if I see Vladimir is continuing asking his question, I understand he would like to learn more about this very specific niche of the market. I would suggest, Vladimir, that you book office hours with Andrew and talk to him one-on-one about this. So let's continue with we keep getting questions. So the next one, you mentioned that the long sales cycle when it comes to universities. That's what we experienced with our project. That's Project Informer. Which approach would you think can reduce the timelines, and what would be the best scaling strategy? Thank you. Yes, you're right. I mean, when it comes to universities, it is huge organizations which have a lot of bureaucracy, and they also have a very cyclical buying process, which is normal because, you know, they need to have a product at the beginning of the school year, not later, maybe not early. So yes, sometimes it is a very long sales cycle. How you can reduce the timelines, I'm not sure. Again, maybe work on recognition of your products. Make sure that you work with individual teachers and that they approve of this product, and then you go to the university administration. If Andrew has something to add.
And I think I touched on this briefly earlier. It's very important to talk to the right person who has decision-making powers to buy a product. Startup can spend lots of time talking to figures that can give them some advice and mentors, but and if they have a product they think that it solves a problem and it addresses the need in the market, it's very important to focus on the right buyer, not on the wrong buyer. Someone who has budget resources and discretion to use them, and someone who is also preferably a user of that product that you're selling and feels the pain that you're solving. So, and that you see lots of startups spending 6 months or more doing customer discovery, and they are talking to people who are not relevant to what they are doing, and then they burn out of cash and they die. They don't survive. So from the very beginning, it's important to look through have an exercise on finding your ideal target customer base, and then and create a customer profile based on your value proposition. And I would highly recommend going through this exercise of business model canvas and starting with the value proposition, and then what channels you use to sell your product, and what customer segments you want to focus on.
Okay, thank you. So the next question is from Dmitry Groshev. I'm not sure which company it is. It seems that there is no Google of EdTech yet. The scene is very fragmented, and the big three is mostly about relatively low tech. Do you agree? Do you have any speculations why it is? Is it a question of time? We will see a giant EdTech company in a decade, or is the market somehow fundamentally different? Wow, that's a huge, long question. So, no, there is no Google of EdTech, I think, although there are large companies that work on high-tech solutions, I would say, as opposed to, textbooks. One company to mention is Blackboard, for example. It is, pretty big in it. But yes, I would agree with you that it is a fragmented market with a lot of players, and it's changing. But why it is, why it is so? I don't know. Education in general is a pretty, I think, conservative. When we talk about education, centralized education, like a university or a school system, it is a very conservative place. And sometimes, yes, it takes, years for them to adapt a technology that's already been adapted in companies, for example, in private companies. So this is my take on it. Will we see change? Will we see giant EdTech company in a decade? Well, I can give you a prediction, but it will have very little value because, it can happen or not. I'm not going to predict what's going to happen with the tech market in 10 years because I'm not sure what's going to happen in a year, to be honest. Unless Andrew has something to add.
I have a magic crystal ball here. I think the question is interesting. There are, of course, big players in the EdTech market like Pearson and Blackboards, but what also we see is happening now in the education technology market, that these bigger giants are being disrupted by smaller, new innovative startups that are taking a certain part. They do things different and better in a certain very specific, narrow market segment. They're offering, and they are able to build businesses, companies like Newton, and that has grown. And some of them companies are free. They offer free solutions. Like Duolingo, for example, has disrupted and taken some share of the market from Rosetta Stone, that was offered a solution which was a paid solution for learning languages. And we see more and more smaller players entering markets that have been predominantly captured by bigger guys. And this, if you look at the last 2 years, 2015 and 2014, there's more investment activities going in supporting innovation in the EdTech market. So I don't know if you want to have a Google of education. I don't know how Google has a specific business model and portfolio of services. Educational market has its own dynamics. So, but for public education purposes, Google offers great free resources. It's a free encyclopedia basically, and it's sharing knowledge is a foundation of Google. So it's an interesting question.
Okay, thank you. One more question from Simformer. What is the difference between sales approach for B2B edtech solutions in Europe and in the US? What do you think, Andrew? Any basic differences how you sell in Europe and how you sell in the US?
So US education technology market is huge to compare to European market, and we have different types of systems, different regulations. And the US market, we have in higher education mostly private universities that are very competitive, and they work with different vendors, and sales cycles are very long and complex. For European educational system, if you talk about higher education, in certain countries like Germany or France, there are procurement processes that are established by ministries of education, that are the universities are there are independent private universities, but there are also a large number of public universities in Europe. So the sales cycles it's probably more complex, and if you're a startup from Eastern Europe trying to enter US market, US market is more scalable. Your product can be more globally competitive. If there's a demand for a product here in the US, you can most likely sell it in some other countries, and you can validate your product here first. And you've seen startups that scaled globally when they enter US market first.
Okay, thank you, Andrew. And one more question. This comes from Dmitry Khan, Small Step. Desktop versus mobile LMS, is there a clear winner in the US school university system? Well, I think, again, desktop is dying and will pretty soon die. I think everybody agrees that this is one of the technologies that we are going to see disappear in the next, 5, definitely 10 years. So I would say yes, mobile LMS is the winner. Anything to add?
I think that the trend shows that there's adoption of mobile devices, wearables, and desktop as such as laptops will still continue using laptops for a while, but there is now a trend that the LMS are cloud-based and they can be used on the more devices it can be used, the better the solution is. You see now that LMS that can be, you started using it on your laptop, then you switch to your iPad or tablet, and then to mobile. That versatility of the application that is web-based and it's in the cloud, and now there is more. The tablets are becoming so powerful with computational powers. So we are moving to mobile, and we also moving to this trend. It's called bring your own mobile device. So Ivan is right in saying that we are, that's the trend.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you. And actually, the next question is exactly about this. Bring your own device. How popular is it in US schools, and when students are asked to use their own smartphones to a lesson? Not necessarily smartphones, but tablets, yes. I do not think, again, I might be wrong here, I do not think it is universal policy at this point, but this is what we see getting more and more popular in schools. Universities, definitely, every student has some kind of, laptop, tablet, what have you with them, which is not necessarily always required during a lesson, but very often they do it even, without this professor's requirement. Schools Yes, I think it is getting more and more popular, and it should become more or less standards, again, in some not so distant future. Andrew, anything to add?
I think the one concern that I also mentioned in my presentation was having multiple devices access to an application's student privacy and cybersecurity is becoming increasingly important when sensitive data is shared on different devices, different platforms. It will be a task for a vendor to comply with cybersecurity standards. And we see in the United States that state regulators, and it's becoming it's becoming a regulated market, and each state can establish, and they are establishing already their own standards for vendors. And that's something that startups that are trying to enter this area have to be aware of, because if they do not comply with these standards, then they will be penalized. If someone made an app for their solution on Android or iOS, and then it doesn't comply with the standards for cybersecurity, then the state may take actions against them, and it's to be illegal to operate.
Yeah, I completely agree with Andrew. Only a few months ago, this summer, we went to a conference in Denver for educational technology. I was surprised to see how many cybersecurity solutions were presented there. You have stand after stand after stand for a company that does cybersecurity solution for a school, for public education, for K through 12 school. It is amazing, how in demand these kinds of solutions are right now, and I think there will be only more and more in demand. As more and more information is being put online by students themselves, and it has to be protected somehow. Okay, I
shall take the last question.
I do not see any more questions on our chat. If somebody has, something that they still need to ask, please unmute yourself and make yourself known. Let's give, a few seconds to people who want to do this. If not, it looks like we answered all the questions. Well, good for us. High five.
All right.
Yay.
It was fun, guys, to have this webinar with you, and just wanted to say that I will hold my office hours on Fridays from 8:30 a.m. till 11:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, Washington DC time, weekly, and we are also in setting up some other mentors that will be available. Sure. And we appreciate any feedback you might have on the webinar, and also if you have some suggestions for topics that you would like to cover in the future webinars, please let Ivan and myself and Adrian know. We can tailor more content to your specific needs.
Yes, completely agree with Andrew here. If you, again, go to Trello, look at the list of webinars. If you have suggestions, post them there. If you have specific questions you would like this specific webinar to address, so we could pass your questions to our expert, please do so, because we would like to make those we would like to make those webinars as useful as we can to you. So again, any feedback is appreciated, and thank you for showing up today for this. It's been more than an hour and a half of your time. Thank you for that. Was that
2 hours?
Well, almost 2 hours. Yes, an hour and 40 minutes. And again, we will see you during our office hours. Mines are going to be Wednesdays 9 to 12. Sign up for office hours, give your feedback on Trello, and we will see you during our next webinar. Thank you, everybody. Goodbye.
Thank you. Have a good day.